Hello and welcome again to Slow Start Pokemon, the channel where I like to take Pokemon that perhaps aren't quite as strong or funny sort of concepts and try and build fun teams around that idea. And mostly I've been focusing on Regigigas, hence the name of the channel. So got a great battle today. Great, I think, for two reasons. One, it's really close, right down to the wire. And two, I think it really demonstrates this Regigigas team and what I'm trying to achieve with it. And everything working together and synergizing just as it should. So the aim of the team really is that my various support Pokemon focus in on taking out anything that could do super effective damage to the Regigigas or to the Eternatus, and then I rely on the bulk of the Regigigas and Eternatus to mean that without super effective damage there's just no way my opponent can take them down before they just beat up the entire team. So you can see here quite a strong looking team from my opponent. I'm expecting Tailwind, expecting that Dracovish to be very strong there with the Fishious Rend, and of course that Blaziken with the speed and the Sableye with its Prankster. So really I'm thinking of taking out the Blaziken, the Dracovish, and possibly that Venusaur may have something that's super effective against Eternatus. So you can see I've gone for the two Pokemon coming out first for the opponent are the Blaziken and the Whimsicott, and I've got my Eternatus and Klefki. So Klefki is going to be trying to set up those screens, and Eternatus is just going to be trying to do some damage, possibly putting some Toxic on opponents. So obviously I'm expecting that the Whimsicott there might have a Fairy type move, but they don't tend to be terribly strong attackers, tend to be more support, so I'm not so worried. Of course the Klefki being Steel type I know could be taken out by a strong fire move, so I'm going to switch into Ardino, which is meant to be there really just to take the hits. So I'm hoping I might take this Blaziken out. But sadly not quite. So yeah, there's the Moonblast, but oddly goes into the Ardino rather than the Eternatus, and then again the Flare Bits, they're obviously trying to take out the Klefki. So Ardino doing its job there. Sadly again the recoil doesn't quite take it out, which is a wee bit frustrating, but there you go. So obviously the Ardino there is in trouble, but it's got Regenerator, so I'm going to swap it out. And I think, well, I can't go back into Klefki because that's going to take a pounding, so I'll go for the, I think about it there, but I think no, that'll get killed. So then I end up choosing to go into the Dusclops, which again is another tanky Pokemon. So Ardino, really that first turn they've basically achieved not very much because they've damaged Ardino. It's going to get most of that back from Regenerator, and out comes Dusclops now. And I find out, of course, the Focus Sash, very useful, and the Weakness Policy, which unlikely to trip on the Blaziken there. Tailwind again expected. Now this was excellent. They tried a close combat, but of course Ghost type, so Fighting type doesn't affect. So that Blaziken effectively has achieved nothing and now is going down, which is good news for me. So with this team, you know, they're not necessarily the fastest anyway, so I don't tend to be that bothered about Tailwind. I mean, Eternatus obviously very fast, but yeah, otherwise not so bothered. So here comes the Dracovish, which I'm thinking, right, this is potentially going to have a Dragon type move. I do think, oh, maybe I'll go first, but then no, I think not. So I go for the Protect. I just want to see what it's going to do, and that will hopefully buy me the turn to get the Will-o'-the-Wisp off, which will of course cripple that physical attacker. Now I'm quite surprised, I didn't expect them to go for Dynamax, but I'm feeling fairly safe in that I've got the Protect. They're obviously fairly worried about this Eternatus, and yeah, I'm expecting them to go first. So here comes that massive fish. I love these fossil Pokemon, just the way that they're total mashups of all the wrong bits put together. So I go for the Protect, which is good, it's a good choice. So the Moonblast comes in, protected, excellent. And the Max Wormwind now. I'm not too bothered about the attack drop, neither of these rely on attack. Eternatus takes very minimal damage there, which is good news. So now the Will-o'-the-Wisp coming out. And thankfully Dusclops comes through. Dracovish now being burned, much less of a threat, which is excellent. You can see they've really barely done anything with that first turn Dynamax. So obviously I can't protect again, so now I'm thinking, well, it's probably not worth me staying in with the Eternatus, so what am I going to go to? And I think, well, dear old Ordino is going to perhaps just take a pounding again. And here I'm considering what to do. And it's not. I was going to go for Curse, but I thought no, that's a bit early. That's a wait for later. So I just go for the Poltergeist. It's not going to do huge damage, but I know it's got that Focus Sash, so it's going to work. And of course, then that'll mean the Focus Sash won't be an issue. So the Moonblast, again, slightly surprised by that, goes into the Dusclops. And a Max Darkness, which normally I think would do huge amounts of damage, but Dusclops very tanky, and of course that burn. So really, Dracovish, their Dynamax Pokemon, pretty much neutered there, which is very good. So it's had 2 turns Dynamax, done very little there. As you can see, Poltergeist, not huge damage, but there you go. And now that Dracovish isn't doing a great deal of damage, you know, not so worried. So I'm going to go for that Life Dew just to try and get both of them back to full health. And again, we'll try and do a bit more damage to the Whimsicott there. So Moonblast comes into the Ardino. They obviously feel that's quite a threat. And the Max Geyser. So sadly Ardino goes out, but really they've managed to take out 1 Pokemon so far from my team. And they've used up their Dynamax. Yes, I've lost the Life Dew user, which is unfortunate, and the Icy Wind, but there you go. So again, the Will-o'-the-Wisp just going to be chipping away at that Whimsicott. I know it's not going to be trying to physically attack me, but it's just going to mean every turn losing that little bit of health, which is good news. So obviously they're going to be out of Dynamax. Need to make my kind of decision as to what to do. I see their Tailwinds petered out. So here we go into the Klefki. Now, not so worried because I know that I haven't got any fire attacks. I'm pretty confident anyway on the field. And, here comes that Dracovish. So we'll go for the light screen, I'm thinking, first of all, because the physical attack's not so strong. And I'm going to try and now take out this Dracovish. So Tailwind again. Again, I'm not too worried, I'm quite slow anyway, so the speed doesn't really matter. And the light screen goes up. Vicious Rend, expecting it to do huge damage, and it does a lot, but it's with a critical hit, so I'm fairly confident I can survive another attack from it next turn, if it doesn't get that critical. So again, Poltergeist, not a great deal of damage, but just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. And now the Klefki is going to go for that Reflect. I did think about Torment, expecting to use Vicious Rend again, but I thought no, the Reflect would be more useful even if Klefki gets taken out. So again, we go for the Poltergeist, just doing that little bit more damage there. So I'm feeling fairly happy, fairly safe at this point. The Moonblast is going to be doing very little because of that light screen. And Dusclops takes a little bit, and this is where I really get worried and a bit frustrated. Psychic Fangs comes through, does hardly any damage, but takes away both screens, which is rather frustrating for me. So now I've got to think the Klefki is not a great deal of use on the field actually, without being able to put up those screens. If I do, you know, they're just going to get knocked down straight away. So as you can see, I've got 1 Pokemon knocked out for them, and 2 of them on low health. I'm thinking about switching, and I think, well, probably he's not going to be able to take me out even in 1 hit. I think about switching again, and I decide to take a little bit of a risk. It's probably worth putting the Eternatus back in. And then I decide against it again, and I go for the foul play, hoping I can just take out the Dracovish. And Dusclops is on low health here, so I go for the Curse, thinking, well, may just survive, do a Curse, knock himself out, but you know, take out the Whimsicott hopefully too. So Dusclops just about survives, perfect. and then gets taken out. But of course that means the Klefki, I didn't think they could take out both, so one of them was going to get the attack off, and the Klefki goes in with that foul play, very strong, and you see how that burn that I did earlier is just enough to take it out. So well worth putting the burn on it, as it basically neutered it. So they've taken 2 Pokemon lost, and I've also got 2 Pokemon lost, and 1 injured, but they've also got 1 injured as well. So now we have the Venusaur, and I'm feeling like the Eternatus, it's time to come out again, just try and do that bit more damage. So they've put the water, the rain on the field, which is not going to help their Pokemon a great deal. So now I know I can set up the light screen quickly, or effectively, and I think, you know, the Whimsicott's not a great threat, so I'm going to try and take out this Venusaur now. Light screen goes up, which again is going to make their special moves, which I'm expecting from both, to be much less powerful. Now this, really, I rather hate the move Endeavour. Pretty cheeky move really, and as you can see, very effective though, because my Eternatus basically goes down in 1 turn, which rather irritates me, I must say. But that's the way it goes, I guess. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm actually on the back foot, from feeling like I was kind of ahead, for that 1 turn. So I'm going to send up Durant, and what I'm going to do is, obviously Regigigas isn't on the field, so they're going to make their choices according to what's on the field. I'm going to swap the Klefki out for the Regigigas, and go for the hustle, the entrainment, sorry, to get the hustle onto Regigigas, who's just going to come onto the field. Their Tailwind's petered out again, so Durant's pretty quick, no sunlight up, so I reckon he'll be pretty fast and get that hustle up without worrying too much. So again, setting up that Tailwind, and the Earth Power would have been going into the Klefki, but as you can see, does hardly anything to the Regigigas. And then it's dance party time, yeah, and the hustle. So now I'm all set and ready to rumble, so you can tell what's going to happen next. It's going to be Gigas time. So now obviously I'm going to go for the Max Strike. I want the Whimsicott to go down, and decide even if they're going to try and protect, actually I want to use Helping Hand to ensure that it goes down, because I think actually the Whimsicott at this stage is the greater threat, having seen the Venusaur do hardly any damage to me there. So I've obviously still got the Klefki in the back there. Now Regigigas blows the speakers with his mighty roar. Okay, right, so you can enjoy that. Do amp with the Helping Hand. So Regigigas, you know, even if they protect, I'm thinking I'm still going to get through. I'm so glad. I was worried about that Endeavour. You can see it does a huge amount of damage, but thankfully it doesn't reduce the Dynamax Pokemon to the same hit points. That's why I kind of could have been in great trouble if they'd gone for the Endeavour on the Klefki, but there was no point at that stage because it was the Klefki. So Regigigas managed to survive. Obviously he's down at half hit points, but I know this Whimsicott is going down. And of course their speed is slowed, which is good. So I'm still fairly worried, although I know they've used their Solar Beam and their Herb up, so they're not going to get that 1 turn attack again. So the Regigigas again, just over health, half health, and yeah, I'm still, you know, kind of on the back foot, but Regigigas is ready to rumble, ready to go. I don't feel like they've got anything that's going to be able to do super effective damage against him, so I'm feeling in a pretty strong position, but you know, still very much in the balance. So here comes the Sableye. I'm worried about some of its crazy shenanigans, so I think, well, I haven't revealed the Max Lightning yet. I think about, oh yeah, maybe I'll take out the Venusaur, but then I think, no, I know it's not doing that much damage, so again, let's go Max Lightning. Try and do as much damage as we can, and of course I'll use the Helping Hand again. The Durant doesn't seem to be in too much. I know, in fact, I go for the Entrainment here. I thought I'd Helping Hand, but then I go for the Entrainment, try and take away that Prankster from them. Of course, they slap my cheeks and take out Durant. Not quite sure why they make that choice, but I guess they're trying to take out Durant without him doing damage. As you can see, the Earth Power not doing a great deal of damage, but he's at risk for next turn. So the Max Lightning comes down, and almost 1 turns the Sableye there. Okay, so now I'm thinking Regigigas is doing pretty well, pretty strong position. I feel like the Durant could well end up fainting this turn, so I'm thinking actually let's go for the max strike on the Venus. Or I did think, yeah, think about taking out the Sableye, but then I think no, let's go for the max strike on the Venusaur. Let's try and take it out in one hit, using the helping hand from Durant in case he goes down this turn. So he does a sterling job of supporting. So this is going to be a very strong attack. Sableye goes for the foul play. Of course is strong on Durant, takes him down low. And the earth power, so focusing on the Durant to try and take him out. And sadly he goes down, but he's done his job. He's helped Regigigas out enough with his dance party. And here comes a massive max strike. And down in one goes the Venusaur. So it's getting pretty close to the end of the battle now. Obviously Regigigas here, and still over half health, so I'm feeling good. I've got Klefki on not a great deal of health. They've obviously got the Sableye, no more Tailwind there. So it's Klefki and Regigigas versus Sableye, and their Toxtricity is going to come out in a moment. So I'm feeling, pretty good at this point. I guess I've put the Electric Terrain on the field, which sort of helps them out rather more than it helps me. It's possibly a bad choice. Obviously out of Dynamax now, so I'm thinking, right, I've got to go for this Giga Impact. I've got to take this guy out in one, otherwise I could be in trouble. And I want to take out the Sableye as well, so I go for the foul play. It's on so little health, I know I'm going to take it out rather than going for a light screen or a reflect or anything like that. So the overdrive. And as you can see, the Klefki goes down. Regigigas is in trouble as well, and there, unfortunately, the boost to the special attack. So I'm pretty worried. I think if this all doesn't work, then I'm in trouble. So Sableye goes down, Klefki goes down because of the Rocky Helmet, double KO, and that's all down to the Giga Impact. Can it take down this Toxtricity in one hit? If not, then I'm done because I've got to wait a turn to attack again. Here he goes. And boom, the Toxtricity goes down in one hit. Regigigas takes the game. So very pleased with the team, how it worked, trying to clear out the threats, things swapping in and protecting each other and synergising really well. So just really enjoyed that battle. Thought it was a really great battle. And that was the end of the battle there. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed another battle with Regigigas doing the damage. Thanks.